The Creation of All, Chapter 4. You're kidding, so she had pets the enemy happened to be allergic to? Archie asks, almost missing the turn. It was coincidental, yes, but over 40% of criminals have chizzy allergies. I tell Archie so he knows it wasn't too coincidental. It's sort of annoying that he's focusing on that. Still, seems a bit too convenient to me. He keeps saying so I need to hurry this along or else he won't stop dwelling on that. Well, it's not like convenient things ever happen. Now on to what happens next. What became of the chizzies? He's still thinking about those? Most of them survived the crash and found new owners among the people fleeing Turdrum. Okay, but Vayne seems pretty indestructible. Can he even be killed? Yes, he can be killed. He's not immortal. Just listen, this next part's important. Is it important in explaining what you're doing? You'll understand everything in the end. Quick, get on this ramp! I shout while pointing. Archie swerves onto it, almost causing an accident. In 56 minutes, you'll take exit 35B. Now, soon after the Doriano revolutionaries fled from the ruins of Turdrum, Udo, the scientist who was credited with creating Vayne, is in his lab at the Origin Tower, located in the middle of Seiton's capital city. He's doing a lot of fretting and fearing for his future as he's just learned what Vayne did. Udo has already been placed under suspension for what Vayne previously did. This is the first time Vayne interacted with Seiton, Archie says, interrupting me again. Just listen, Udo is famous as the greatest developer of FBWs. He holds a high position with lots of prestige in Seiton society. But now, thanks to Vayne, it's all starting to crumble. I throw my DCMD clear across the room after reading the message on it that contained the fallout of what happened at Turdrum. I can't believe how much of a mess this has become. I put my reputation on the line for this. Why did he do that in Turdrum? Why did Quells ever trust him? Udo, your FBW just destroyed an airship carrier, defeated an agent, and delayed the Mangle project. I spin around to see Soisei in my lab. She just let herself in to taunt me, as she likes to do. She's a wrinkled old hag, only 7 years younger than I am. A lot of people are furious with you. I'm talking about Unuma and his council. Go away, Soisei, I say tiredly as I'm in no mood for all this. All the best-laid plans have been destroyed. There was some salvaging them after Jurin caught him the first time, and he was being shipped back to me. I even hired Hade to guard and ensure he got here, but now he ran off again, and those mercenaries from the Phantom Nation failed to bring him to me. I told them to tell him I'm his creator. Why didn't he go with them? What is he thinking? You appreciate the severity of this, don't you? It's only a matter of time until the disciplinarians storm through those doors for you. You know Udama has to have sent them by now. And after what your menace of a weapon did before, and now this, your past achievements won't protect you anymore. Ugh, she's so annoying. I can't wait till they drag you out of here so I can move in. The head lab is always where I belonged. She's always wanted to take my position as lead scientist and developer in the R&D of FBWs, and she's been wanting it for decades. Get out of here, Soisei! This is my lab and you're not allowed in here! I angrily yell at her. Right now I can't put up with her pestering. Ha! You're about to lose everything and then it'll all be mine. I thought I might as well come in here and decide on my decor now. I mean, look at how you waste the space in here. It would be so easy to fit more flesh infusers in here if you just move some of these organ shifters to the back. Why do you have so many of them? She walks past the workstation where I was sitting, and she continues to snoop around to annoy me. You must be relieved that they've kept the secrets of your suspension under wraps, aside from President Uduma, the Council, and your peers, along with the surviving soldiers who had to deal with your run-amok failure. No one else even knows of this embarrassment you made. What were you thinking when you made something that attacked our own military bases? It destroyed 2 of them. Not being able to endure any more of her, and that snickering sound she enjoys making, I grab her by the arm and pull her back to the door. I told you to leave! I shout at her as I can't contain my anger with all that just happened. I have a better standing with the council now. You're taking the blame for everything your defective FBW has done, and will continue to do until it gets captured again. I heard Udama wanted to hire Jurin to track it down again, but no one knows where he is, so who knows how much more damage that weapon will do. I reach over and start opening drawers and throw whatever I can grab at her. Tools, office supplies, any small items that I can get handfuls of, I hurl at her. She attempts to plead with me to stop, but once the drawer is empty, I move to what's on the counter, grabbing empty beakers and flasks, throwing them at her. As the chaos ensues, one of the empty beakers hits her in the forehead, causing her to stumble backward out of the door and into the hall. Soisei checks her forehead to find that she's bleeding. "How dare you! You'll regret this once I've taken your place. No, you'll be in a torture cell. Everyone knows the controllers couldn't have failed to take. You left them out on purpose for some reason. Both Udama and the council suspect you. All your prestige from your past accomplishments no longer carries any weight. Thanks to your failure, they're coming for you, to take all you've earned and leave your legacy a disgrace." With that, Soisei turns and storms off in a huff. All the other doorways in the hall have people poking their heads out to see what all the ruckus is about. I wish they hadn't heard her outburst. I don't want any more attention being drawn to me. Turning back to my lab, I see that it's empty, devoid of assistants and other workers. All my experiments have been suspended or cancelled. Just as Soisei said, if I weren't the world's foremost expert in my field, I'd have lost everything by now. But instead, I've been suspended while the matter is being inspected and judged. I'm not allowed to leave the Origin Tower while under suspension. All I've been left with is my personal assistant, Yao. With no projects, all she does is fetch my meals and any necessities I request. I can't stop thinking about how those mercenaries failed me. They were the highest ranked in the area. They should have succeeded. I told him to use the words that he should have recognized as the code phrase, "Stop being difficult," and willingly gone along with him. Why did Vayne resist? What was he thinking? I can't waste any more time. Soisei was right. They'll come for me soon. It could be within the hour, tomorrow, next week. It doesn't matter when. I know they'll come, and I won't let my legacy end in shame. Those 2 mercenaries were captured from the wreckage. I was able to hire them anonymously. However, the risk that I'll be traced through them is already too high. I need to make my move now. I need to track Vayne down myself. Where is Yao? She should have been back by now. Have the disciplinarians pulled her aside already and started questioning her about me? The setback of the Mangle project very well could have been the limit. The disciplinarians could have taken Yao, or be coming down the hall right now to take me away. I won't wait around here in fear another moment longer. I tried to reach Yao on her comm device, but she's not answering. What is that airhead doing? If she's being questioned, then at least she doesn't know anything important. But if I'm going to find Vayne, I'll need someone's help, and she's, unfortunately, the only option I have. I have to go find her. Bracing for danger, I quietly step out into the hall. This once friendly place where I was revered and worshipped has now become a dark cavern of shame. I have a plan to sneak away. Hopefully by taking the initiative, I can slip out before Udama makes his next move against me, and that's only if it hasn't already been set into motion. Walking to the end of the hall, I turn the corner, and right there is Yao. Her back is to me so she doesn't see me. She's talking to someone I don't recognize, one of her low-level peers. "Come on, Noida. The Glide raised their cover charge. I can't hang out with you and the others without 10 more Dren." She's begging for money. So disgraceful for someone serving as my assistant. All right. He actually gives her the money. "Thanks, I owe you one. And I need a night out. Udo has been so grumpy and fussy recently," Yao says, knowing full well disrespect against superiors warrants punishment. "Yeah, that's so strange. You know, everyone is spreading rumors about him, none of them good. I heard someone saw a bunch of his stuff being removed from his lab. What's happening with him?" I have no idea. I came into work and the lab was cleared out. No one told me anything. Udo has just been using me to fetch him things. He usually never asks me for help. But now it's, "Yao, get this. Yao, get that. Yao, you're not listening." How did having all his projects put on hold make him so high maintenance? I'm actually starting to worry. "It must be serious. This could be a fall from grace moment. He's been shut down so fast, and that's what most people are saying. Do you know who you'll work for next if things get worse? I mean, depending on the situation, you may not be able to find work in this field." I've been giving it some thought, and I think that... Noida, you okay? Yao asks him, but I've walked up behind her, and this dunce finally seems to have recognized me. My presence is making him uncomfortable, and he quickly takes his leave. "Hey, where are you going?" Yao shouts, still unaware that I'm right behind her. "Yao!" I shout at her, both to vent my rage and stress, but also because I like that little squeak sound she makes when she's startled. "Eat! Udo!" she shrieks, spinning around to face me. "Yao, return to the lab. I need your help." I order her, and she swiftly hurries back. I, however, make a stop at the lab of one of my fellow FBW developers, Kobodo. His work has been good, and though I haven't been privy to any information while suspended, I can overhear things, and what I've heard is that his newest weapon is quite impressive. I'm going to set out into the world in secret. I'll need protection. Normally, people in my position are escorted by a small battalion, but that's only when we ask for permission and submit the proper paperwork. Unable to do that, I've been forced to desperately resort to this tactic. I knock on his door and his assistant Jogoro answers it. Udo, what can I do for you? I need to see Koburo. Can you get him for me? I ask while looking up and down the hall. Very well, just a moment, Jogoro says with a smile while turning his head. I can tell he's suspicious of me. He shouldn't know the details of my situation, so he's making me nervous. That or I'm becoming too paranoid. I take out a device I had just made from the scraps I could find that were left in my lab. I made this small metal wristband that'll help me make Koburo cooperative. And when he comes to the door, I reach into the doorway and snap it on his wrist. Koburo, I have an issue that requires your expertise. Join me in my lab. I ask as casually as possible, as these hallways are always being watched. Udo, what are you doing? Koburo asks, and before he can say anything else, I activate my little machine, and the small syringe stabs into his wrist. A small clear container on the top shows an unknown solution that can be injected into him. I can tell by his expression that he understands that function. I think you would do well to meet with me. I just can't solve this issue myself. And besides, we have so much to catch up on. But let's save the talking once we get more comfortable. He quickly grasps the situation. Jogoro, I'll be stepping out for a moment. Make sure everyone does what they're supposed to. Yes, sir, Jogoro says as the dutiful assistant he is. Koburo then quietly follows me to my lab. Why is he here? Yao asks while she sits on one of the workstations. It's so unprofessional, but she keeps doing it no matter how many times I told her to stop. Udo, get this thing off me right away. What is this fluid? Koburo pleads, and I can tell he's panicked, not knowing what it is. I'll be brief and explain everything quickly. As you know, I'm under suspicion for treason or failure. They haven't decided, but before they do, I need to get out of the city to find the last weapon I made. It's having trouble. When it's caught again, Udama will take ownership and dispose of it. I've chosen you to help me as you are heading out soon to pick up your most recent prototype as it's finished its independent field testing. How did those tests go? I ask him, and at first he seems baffled and confused by all that I've said, but never missing a moment to boast, he ignores all I've said for the moment to give a prideful answer. It's performed perfectly, unlike yours. I've heard of your weapon going berserk and humiliating you. It must be hard what you're going through, but don't worry, once I take your place, I'll bring respect back to the department. Only Soisei has ever spoken to me like that. If this treatment is what I have to look forward to from staying here, then all the more reason to hurry this along. Excellent. I heard impressive things about it. You'll be handing that weapon over to me when you get it back. We'll need the protection. And this will make sure I do as you say, Koburo says, holding up his wrist with the device containing a harmless solution I put into it. I just need him to think it'll kill him. Wait, what? You're under suspension? Yao shouts, and I can hear the disappointment in her voice, but I'm glad she knew to wait until we were done talking before making her outburst. I'm on the path to a forced resignation and possible incarceration. Having worked for someone like that will make it harder for her to find people willing to take her as an assistant in the future. Or could get her an equal punishment. She is my assistant. I suppose I should have told her. It would have been the normal thing to do, but I didn't care enough to take the time. What did you do? She yells out as she starts crying. Do you remember FBW 1500-310 Model 1? I ask her, as she is unaware of Vayne's actions. Only the department heads were made aware. The assistants were not. Yeah? She says very nervously with her cute voice shaking. Well, I'm under suspicion for intentionally allowing it to retain its free will, and it's run a bit amok. But you've never made any mistakes like that, Yao says, still trying to wrap her head around all this. Yes, but what you need to be aware of is that you helped create it, and as part of your duty, you are to help me ensure that all procedures are performed properly. Whether I forgot the controllers or they didn't take due to poor implementation, the fault will fall on you too for not catching the error. Yao already had her comm device out and was about to report me. However, after hearing that, she drops her comm device and starts screaming. Mistakes that big can't be tolerated. They will come for me. I'm going to be tortured. Her eyes start darting side to side as she thinks of all the horrible things that can happen to her now. We citizens take our images seriously as our power. Anything to happen that embarrasses us is treated with extreme severity. That's why Udama has been keeping Vayne's actions secret as much as he can. Yao, if you stay here, you'll face harsh charges, but you can come with me, retrieve the weapon, and start a new life somewhere else. I have no intention of coming back. You're abandoning Saitan and want me to do the same? Yao starts crying again. Yes, leaving my homeland does pain me, as it would anyone, but I have no choice. I do almost feel a little bad for forcing this on Yao, but I won't be able to do this without her help, and she's a dope I don't respect. Wait, you're leaving? Permanently? You're not going to fight for your innocence to save your position? Kobudo asks, and I already know what he's thinking. You should have said so sooner. Of course I'll help you get out of here, he says, rubbing his hands together with the biggest grin I've ever seen on his face. With me gone, he and Soisei can fight over the top of the mountain. You don't need to keep this on me. You can take it off, he says, sticking out his arm. Consider it insurance. You'll keep that until we get your weapon and then part ways. Just how do you expect to get onto my craft without being seen? Kobudo asks, sounding interested to know how I plan to. I reach my fingers under the edge of the top gel generator of my clothes that's on my shoulders. I open the small panel and shift the wires to the other program card I installed. The gel reshapes, covering my entire body and disguising me as an average soldier, with the helmet covering my face. With this, I can board your craft easily. This only looks like soldier armor, but still, being a gel, it offers very little protection. I didn't know the gel clothes could be used like that, Kobudo says, sounding impressed. Of course, you are the type of person who accepts and doesn't question what could be. I enjoy rubbing my superiority in the faces of others. But I don't have gel clothes, Yao whines. Do you expect me to just keep my head down and hide my face? I take a hat out of the closet and hand it to her. Yao has a rare condition that causes her hair to have two natural colors. She has dark yellow, almost gold bangs, with the rest of her hair being a dark green. Along with her blue skin, I enjoy that color combination. Gee, thanks. Can you even see out of that? Yao asks while sticking her face up close to mine, looking over my disguise. Not very well. There's a small slit I can see through. No one will notice unless it's pointed out to them. You'll be found out instantly. Even I can tell it doesn't look like real armor, Kobudo shouts, worried he's found a flaw in my plan. Relax, you two. I've known this day would come for years, and I've prepared a passage through the space between the walls that'll take us right to the hangars. We'll only be in view of others for a couple minutes. I doubt we'll be seen. Years? How long have you been scheming against Saitan? Yao shouts, now treating me like some kind of villain. Trust me, everything I've done has been in service of the greater good. They both have nothing to say, and honestly, I created this secret path for another reason. I never thought Vayne would put me in this situation. I then opened the secret path, removing a panel in one of the cabinets. I take out the bag with my psychorg in it. You have a psychorg? You are a traitor! How long has this been going on? What have you done to hurt Saitan? What are you planning? Kobudo freaks out and starts shouting. Calm down, Kobudo. This is just to help me stay in touch with a friend. Psychorgs are made from a certain plant. They graft circuitry onto them and make them into plant computers. They were, amazingly, created by taverns, and are used by renegades, revolutionaries, and members of the Phantom Nation. These are used to help navigate around and avoid Saitan. It's a form of sending information that Saitan cannot see. I use mine to keep in touch with a few friends who Saitan now sees as enemies. You put them on the ground, and their roots will dig into the soil to attach with the roots of other plants. Psychorgs then send information through their roots and the roots of other plants. The taverns discovered that nearly 84% of all the roots are touching the roots of other plants. Plants hold the roots of others as a means to communicate with each other. There are a few plants that have been converted into storage units that psychorgs can download data into and access. A friend of mine from the Phantom Nation gave me mine. That was a big risk for them. It's there that people monitor all psychorgs. If they suspect someone from Saitan using one, they send a signal that destroys it. I'm the only person here with one. I'm only able to use it when I'm outside of the city, so I'd always have to sneak it out each time to use it. I close my bag and hand it to Kobudo. Bring this to your ship, I tell Kobudo, and he hesitates to take it. Looks like you only have about 19 minutes to get there. That's how many minutes the timer on my device has left. It won't really do anything once it runs out. Once we get to your ship, I'll add more time onto the timer. I smile as I tell him. I enjoy messing with him. I wasn't planning to leave for another 7 hours. It should only take you a couple of minutes to move that up, I say to him, and he hurries back to his lab with my bag. Yow, we can use the spaces between the rooms and floors to scale down to the hangar, I say, climbing into my secret passage. We have to leave now? I don't have anything. I am sorry about that, but we'll get whatever you need once we get out there. So just like this, I have to kiss my life goodbye? She asks, as I've already gotten half of me in through the hole. Yes, you're not the first person this has happened to. Several people all over Mectra are chased from their homeland for one reason or another. She moans before following me into the passage. I secretly created this years ago and lined it with small lights to illuminate the way. Are you going to tell me exactly what's going on? Why did you mess up 310 Model 1? Oh, wow. Are you seriously asking a pertinent question? So only when your life's impacted do you care about your work. Hey, it's not my fault. You barely asked me to do anything. That's because I don't need you. You're only here because policy requires us to have assistance. I only chose you because you were the nicest to look at. You only chose me because of my looks? If some dead weight was going to be standing around all day, might as well be someone who is nice to look at. I remember that day. Dagoda chose me first, but you made a fuss over getting me. I thought you saw value in me, but all this time you've just been wasting my life. That is how things were going, but now if you cooperate, you may be able to accomplish something of worth with your life. And that is... If we get on Kobudo's ship, I might tell you. We finish climbing down to the hangar level of the tower. Here, this panel leads out to the cleaner's closet across from the docks. I whisper to Yao before opening the panel and jumping down to the floor of the closet. We put the panel back and step out into the hall, and right across it is the docks. There isn't that much foot traffic here, just 4 people walking by, talking on comm devices or reading over reports in their hands. No one is glancing at us. Deserter! We hear someone yell, and both Yao and I jump from the shock. Guys, I'm just transferring. Why do you have to take it like that? I hear another voice casually say. We slowly turn our heads to see 3 real soldiers walking towards us. Yao's legs start shaking. She looks like she's about to pass out. Keep it together. We can't get caught right away. How embarrassing would that be? I quietly hiss at her. All we can do is stand in place, frozen as these soldiers walk by us. Because, Yado, we're all from the same generation, and we all went into security and worked our way to guarding the origin tower. And now you're leaving us for maintenance? Another one of them says, sounding irritated. I'm sorry, guys, but with my credentials, I could have gone into security or maintenance. I thought security would be more exciting, but I just like working with my hands more. We'll still be stationed on the same floor, so it's not like I'm going anywhere. It still feels like you're ditching us. Come on, my break is over. Let's talk about this after work. We can go to our favorite place. The soldiers say as they walk past us, not giving us a single look. Yao and I let out a huge sigh of relief. She has to put a hand on my shoulder to keep herself from falling. Get it together. Nothing's happened so far. We take a moment to calm ourselves. This was supposed to be the easy part. We each take the next step forward. Hey, I recognize her! We hear one of those 3 soldiers who just walked by shout, and we freeze again. Have they recognized Yao? That's Kirora. She's one of the 10 best singers on Mectra. I move my head to see that the soldier is pointing to one of the monitors that are attached to the ceiling for people to watch while they wait. On it is one of Kirora's recent performances. She's from the Lorita Nation, and has gained a lot of popularity across the world recently. Udo, do we have to keep doing this? Yao asks, her voice trembling. Yes! I whisper to her, unable to keep my voice from trembling. We take another few steps. We make it halfway across the hall. We can see the 3 gates that lead to the docks where the airships are held. Hey, that guy looks kind of strange, doesn't he? I hear one of those soldiers. I try to see through the small opening in my disguise to see who he's talking about this time, and I see him pointing at me! Yao lets out another one of those cute shrieks, and now all 3 of them are walking back towards us, just as we reach the gates. Hey, your armor looks strange, one of them says. There shouldn't even be another soldier stationed in this area. Another says, they're suspicious of me. If their attention shifts to Yao, they may recognize her as my assistant. I'm new, wearing the newly issued armor. They told me I had to replace one of you. That's all I can think to say to these guys. Okay, now I know something strange is going on, one of the soldiers says, and all 3 of them raise their weapons. Yao lowers her head and covers her face with the hat I gave her. There you are. Finally, Kobudo arrives just in time. Excuse me, he says to the soldiers as he rushes us to the gate, opening it with his clear card. Hey, hold on. That soldier isn't... One of the soldiers tries to protest. It's fine, they're with me. Kobudo quickly says back, pushing us through the gate. None of us say anything. We all quickly hurry to Kobudo's ship, and he lets us on. He takes us to his quarters, and there I change my clothes back to normal. Could you have cut that any closer? Yao shouts as loud as possible before falling on her back on the floor. It already looks strange enough me running here with this bag. He throws it at me and I catch it, not wanting the contents to break. I have to get back to my staff. I have them all preparing for the trip now, and the crew is assembling. We just wait here in my quarters and keep quiet, Kobudo says before turning to me and raising his wrist. Good work. You came through, I say, putting the code into the device to reset the timer. Don't treat me like I'm your worker, he says, sounding upset as he rolls his sleeve back down. Now I have to hide this thing constantly. What am I to say if someone notices it? Tell them to mind their own business, I say to him before taking a seat on the couch. You don't need to worry. Once we pick up your weapon, we'll be gone. And what do I say when my creation goes missing? You can say rogues stole it and point everyone in the opposite direction we go. That's the weakest excuse in the world. It'll never work. Then work on a better one, I say to him, tired of his whining. Oh, fine. I need to get back to my staff. We fly in 3 hours. Kobudo then takes his leave and locks the door behind him. My life just ended because of you. Just tell me, can there still be a happy ending for me? Yao asks while staring at me, her eyes tearing up. It's possible. Depends on how lucky we are. There are a lot of unknowns that we'll need to overcome. Tears start running down Yao's face. Well, why is this happening at all? Why do you do this? Yao asks, hoping to get an answer that makes her sacrifice worth it. I'll tell you when you need to know. What? You just expect me to accept and go along with this craziness? Yes, and you will. Your choices are punishment, or take this chance to start a new life anywhere you want. Before I was prepared to tell her the truth, but I stopped myself. This secret is too great for a bimbo like her to know. She may become even more difficult to work with. Her knowing won't help anything anyway. I swear I'm going to make you pay for this one day. She said that with more seriousness than I've ever heard her say before. Fine, I owe you. Just keep it down. You want to get caught? Yao starts sobbing. Time passes and I feel the 2 large claws that are clamped on the ship which hold it in place release, freeing the ship as the engines start up. The doors must be opening as I can feel the ship start to fly forward. Chapter 4. End.